Hello farmers, we are back with Darkness Falls farming. Previously we looked at crop farming and hoeing with rain catchers, and you can get that video at the end or in my description. Though now we are looking at tree farming. It sounds simple, but it's quite surprising the number of questions that are going on surrounding this relatively simple topic. We are looking at tree placement, spacing, water, growth time, fertilizer, biome limitations, using farm plots for trees, what happens when you damage fruit trees, and why the hell do we need to even bother with forestry in Darkness Falls anyway? Darkness Falls has two types of trees, vanilla trees and fruit trees. Besides wood, oak and pine vanilla trees can also be used to obtain sap by left-clicking on a tree with a bowl. Sap is a consumable that is most useful in the early game, especially to help boost your stamina when fighting or, well, just running away. Sap is also used, very importantly, for glue. Moving on to the reason that you are here. In Darkness Falls, we have fruit trees. These are the banana and coconut trees, which are only found in the desert by default. Then the apple and orange trees, which are exclusive to the forest biome. Going up to a tree in the wild and hitting it with a tool or weapon, or your fists, will allow you to harvest it. The farmer class can craft an iron hoe, and this will give you an increase in that harvest. So whether you are harvesting wild trees or your own trees in your base, you will be rewarded by using your trusty hoe. Starting your own orchard is the same as with other crops. You need seeds. Like with other seeds, you can use a mortar and pestle for crafting. You can craft the apple seeds whether you are a farmer class or not. They are the entry-level and easily obtained seeds from all the 4 fruit trees. The rest, orange, banana, and coconut, are exclusive to the farmer class. So if you want to craft them, you need to be a farmer. The good news is that apples can easily be used for animal snares and animal feed. So for basic survival and sustaining a good base level food system, apples will keep the doctor away and are all that you really need. Your oranges, coconuts and bananas are used in more advanced foods or drinks, so you can get them if you really want to. Advanced foods are beneficial, don't get me wrong, but sustaining a healthy food system with animal feed for your traps is perfectly fine with just the entry-level apples. Right, let's answer those location questions. And also, are we limited to the forest or maybe the desert biome when it comes to planting? The good news is that you can pop your trees almost anywhere. And I mean almost anywhere. If you want to, you can put your trees down on hoed soil, but most players are not going to bother with that, and it would be a bit silly to waste your time doing that as well. So planting directly on grass is fine. They can also go between the crops if you want to, but in my opinion, that can start making things a little bit cluttered, especially as it could lead to indirectly damaging the trees outside of harvesting time. But I'm just emphasizing that trees are very easy and accommodating when it comes to placement. If you would prefer to pop them into farm plots, then you can also do that and they will grow. If you wanted to create your own hanging gardens of Babylon, you can put them all around your buildings, roofs and gardens, so they are perfectly fine in farm plots as well. As much as certain trees like coconuts and bananas are only found in the desert, that does not mean that they are limited to that biome. And the same goes with orange and apple trees. We are in the desert biome and we have 4 full-grown trees. So you can grow all your apples and orange trees in the desert as well. The snow biome, all 4 trees have been planted and are growing on the snow, including if you dig down to the lower soil level. Even the wasteland, if you really want to set up base in this hellhole for possibly a loot stage advantage, then over here your orchard will also grow. So overall, tree location and biomes is very versatile. Most players usually understand that trees do not require water, so fitting with the easygoing almost anywhere location, water is not a requirement. You can put them near or on water, but it's not a requirement like it is with your crops. Next, tree spacing. With crops, you usually put them as close together as possible. With trees, this question is a bit more complicated. You can certainly go for a space-saving operation and just lump all your trees together. Just one big line or group of trees with no spaces between them. It certainly makes sense that the trees can still be harvested. So if you want to go for no spacing, then this certainly does work and allows for many trees in a small area. However, what some do not take into account is that it is much easier to harvest the wrong tree when they are too close to one another. Apple trees especially can be difficult to pinpoint if you want to harvest just a certain tree. Now, I personally prefer 3 blocks of space between my trees. Remember, there are some of us out there that like a neat, aesthetically pleasing farm. So, functional is good, but aesthetics can also give many players satisfaction. And if this means having 2 or 3 block spaces between your trees, then, well, go for it. The biggest question for many players when it comes to trees in Darkness Falls is how long does it take for trees to grow? Some players start to think the system is bugged out when they hit day 4 or day 5 and the trees have still not completed their growth. Crops take around about 3 days for full growth while on a 60-minute game day, while trees can take a whopping 6 to 7 days to grow. Depending on the time of day, planting a tree on day 12 will finally reach full growth and be ready to harvest on about day 19 or 20. Middle growth usually happens about day 3 or so. Apples will appear as little bushes, so you can certainly see the difference between a full-grown apple tree and the middle stage one. Oranges have a middle growth stage that looks like a full-grown orange tree, but without their fruit. So again, it is also pretty obvious that they are not ready to be harvested. Bananas, you can't miss the difference, as much as a full-grown version does appear similar to the middle stage of the banana. One is considerably shorter than the other. You really can't make a mistake, only if you didn't know. But it is the coconuts that are more of a problem tree, and does offer a fair bit of confusion. They look very similar, and if you don't have a comparison to go by, you can get mixed up. Even the more seasoned farmers out there will get mixed up between a middle growth coconut and the full grown version. A coconut trunk is almost the same width as a full block size. Of course, many new players do not have that comparison and are just starting out as a coconut farmer. Therefore, you can definitely be forgiven for getting confused and trying to harvest your coconuts too early. As mentioned at the start, wild fruit trees that you have not planted yourself will just get knocked down when harvesting. Whether you use your fists or another object, the tree is destroyed. With your own base-grown fruit trees, once you get to a completed harvest animation, it goes through a different sound effect. No matter how much damage you administer, a fatal beating with one swipe, or pounding away with your fists, it will usually be 2 or 3 hits with a tool or weapon to harvest a home-grown tree. Once you harvest it, it will revert to its smaller half-grown version when it comes to the banana and the coconut. However, in the case of the orange and the apple, after they are harvested, they turn out to look like something from autumn or a winter tree in appearance with no leaves. Once harvested, don't damage the tree any further, though I have noticed that a damaged tree currently does appear to reset, and you should be able to get future harvests from them even if they are damaged. Remember, your harvest of fruit will be significantly higher when using the iron hoe. Even though it takes at least 6 days from seed to full growth, the good news with all fruit trees is that once it is harvested, it only takes another day before the cycle has completed again. With the single line of orange trees, I harvested it on day 20, and that was early in the morning. Some of the trees were ready to be harvested again on the same day in the evening. But the next morning, all of these trees were harvestable again. So you should get a harvest once per day. Fertilizer currently does not work with tree farming, so don't waste your fertilizer on attempting to get your trees to grow any faster. Kane has indicated this year that he did try to get it functioning, but he has since stopped messing with it. Trees had a lot of problems during version 5, so he doesn't want to screw things up anymore and left things as they are for now. So, no fertilizer for trees. Here is something to be aware of, mainly for those with very large orchards. Cutting down trees is a screamer heat producer. So, cutting down 25 orange trees produced an unhealthy 23% of heat. If you're sitting with a large tree farm, just remember a simple task of harvesting a lot of trees could tip you over to having a visit from this annoying wench. And remember, Darkness Falls also has demonic screamers. If you found the guide useful, please don't forget to give it a like. Our next Darkness Falls guide is on irrigation, hydroponics, and underground farming. So I will see you in the next one.